So in this lesson, we're going to learn about the artist Wayne Thiebaud, and this is a self-portrait of him. And as you can tell, he mainly liked to draw desserts, things that made him happy. He used bright colors, and a lot of times kids say that the reason they like his work is because it looks so realistic and so delicious. So we're going to talk about how does he make these realistic? What does he do to make them look like that? And how can we be inspired by that to make our own realistic looking desserts? So, the way that he makes them look realistic is he creates form. He creates form. Form means it looks 3D. How does he do that? Using parallel lines and value. So, for instance, the cylinder, he starts with an oval. These are the parallel lines here, and then he adds value to make the cake look realistic. This is how he would make a piece of pie or cake. He would draw a triangle. He draws parallel lines and then add value to make it look realistic. This would be like a square cake, like right here. And let's talk a little bit more about that. So if you start with an oval, you add parallel lines and a curve, and value, you have cake. Triangle, parallel lines, value, you have a cake or pie slice. If you have a circle, and you add just some value in there, becomes a sphere, and that's how he made the gumballs in his gumball machine and the other gumballs there. Down here we have a triangle, which he added value to become a cone, and then he has his ice cream cones. So we start from shape, then we add parallel lines and value, and then it turns into a realistic looking dessert. So how did Wayne Thiebaud decide where to put his light and shadow? Light and shadow means value. Well, he had one light source. So on this cake, the light source comes from somewhere over here. It hits the cake here. The shadow gets blocked here, but since it's coming from this way, this part is light, this part is dark. On these cakes, the light comes from somewhere up here. That's why the tops of the cakes are light. The side here is a little bit light, but then it gets dark over here, and that's why the shadow is on that side. If you look at these cakes, the light source comes from up top somewhere around here, so the tops of the cakes are light, and then it goes from light to dark on the side. Over here, it looks like the light source is coming from down here somewhere, and this part of the candy apple is light, this part is dark, and the shadow is here. The ice creams, the light is coming from here because here it's light, and on this side it's dark. Over here, the light seems to be coming maybe from over here, and the top is light, then it goes from light to dark. So if we look at these drawings here, pretend that a cylinder is a cake, pretend that a sphere could be a candy apple, or it could be the top of an ice cream cone. He doesn't really use this form, and sometimes he uses this to create square cakes, but as you see, if the light is coming from the top of the square is going to be light, the top of the cube is going to be light, the top of the sphere has a light spot, the top of the cylinder is light, and the left side, if it's coming from the left side, that's the light source. If it's coming from the left side is always darker than the right side if it's coming from the left. See? It slowly goes from light to dark. And if the light source is over here, on the other side, it would be the opposite. But if the light is here, it will go from light to dark. As you see, it's going from light to dark, light to dark, light to dark. And that is what makes Wayne Thiebaud's artwork look realistic. He turns 2D shape into 3D form and then adds value. So I'm going to show you the activity we're going to do and how to apply everything that we just learned to make a realistic looking Wayne Thiebaud desserts. So this is the activity that you guys have to do, turning these shapes into forms. So as you see, I started with a circle, some triangles, a diamond, an oval, and some odd shape, and I turned it into ice cream cones and cake slices and a square cake and a cake with a slice taken out of it. So I'm going to show you how you are going to take this and turn it into this. So we will get started with the ice cream cone. Of course, if you want to turn this circle into something else, like a gumball machine, and you know how to do it and you have a plan for it, go for it. But I'm going to show you the ice cream cone. You're going to move the cone over to where the scoop is, and you want to change the color. You can change the color up here. So when I click on fill color, I can choose this color for an ice cream cone. However, that does not look like form. That does not look to be three-dimensional. So I'm going to make sure that I click on where it says gradient. And the gradient is what makes it look three-dimensional. So I want this to be a gradient, so it goes from light to dark. If the light is coming from this way, I want it to go from light to dark. So I'm going to click here, click, instead of solid, I'm going to click gradient. And I could do like one of these, but that's not really the way I want it to look. So I'm going to custom what I'm doing. And I'm going to click on linear, not radial. And the angle, I don't want the light coming from here, I want it over here. So that angle that you're going to put in is 180. Okay, so it's going to go from light to dark. I don't really think that's the color that I want. So this color here, I want it to be kind of different, so I can change that if I want to. I want it kind of like that. So I'm going to hit OK. And now the cone has value to it, and it looks three-dimensional. It looks more like form. Now let's do the ice cream scoop. I think I'm going to go for like a blue-green theme. So I'm going to, again, hit gradient. And maybe I'm going to go with this one. But as you see, the light is right in the middle. I want the light to be on the left side, on this side right here, the right side. So I'm going to have to do a custom gradient. So I'm going to go into custom. And instead of radial, well, I can keep it radial because it's a circle, but I'm going to go top right because the light is coming from the top right. Let's see what that looks like. And now this looks three-dimensional. This looks more like form. I think I want the ice cream to be inside of the cone, so I'm going to say arrange, order, send to back. So now it's behind it. Okay, I'm going to copy this scoop. I want it to be a double scoop. I'm going to paste it. Copy paste is Control-C and Control-V. Okay, I'm going to paste it above it. And this one, instead of green, I'm going to make it blue. But remember, the light is not coming from the right side, so I'm going to customize it, and I'm going to make it come from the right. So now I have a green scoop and a blue scoop of my ice cream, and they both have form now. They're no longer shapes, they're form. This doesn't look like two circles and a triangle. This looks like two spheres and a cone. Okay, so it went from two circles and a triangle to two spheres and a cone. I'm now going to move on to my cake slice over here. And what I'm going to do is zoom into it because it's a little bit hard to see. So you can always do that. Then I'm going to grab a tool over here where it says lines, and I'm going to grab the Polyline tool. And I'm going to create a shape underneath here. Remember, the way that you create form from shape is by using parallel lines value. So I need to create parallel lines. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to create this line here. And then I'm going to make a straight line here. If I hold shift, it becomes straight. Watch this. It became straight. That's how deep I want my cake slice to be. Now, this line right here for the bottom part of the cake, this is not parallel to this top line over here. I want to move it until it becomes parallel. Can you guys tell when it becomes parallel? Let me see if you guys can figure it out. It's not parallel yet. It's not parallel yet. It's parallel right about now. Now the bottom line has the same angle as the top line. So I'm going to click it here, and then I want another straight line that goes up. I'm going to hit shift to make it straight, and it's going to complete the shape. Now, it's not exactly where it's supposed to be, so I'm just going to make it a little wider. Okay, And then you see how it's an outline there? We don't want the outline, so I'm going to make the outline transparent. And I'm going to make the cake a color. I think I'm going to make it be a chocolate cake, so I'm just going to go with that same color for a chocolate cake. So that's the bottom part of our cake. That's the top, that's the bottom. It's starting to look 3D. What color do we want the frosting to be on the top of the cake? Remember I said I'm going with a blue or green theme, so let's go with blue, this light blue. That's, you know what, let's make it even lighter. And the reason I'm making it even lighter is because our light source is coming from the top. Remember, our light source is over here. And so the top of your objects are going to be light. So the top is going to be a light blue. Now, if you still don't see that this looks like a cake yet, let's work a little bit more on it. Over here, this side of the cake, when the light hits it, this side is going to be a little lighter than this side. So we're going to go to the fill and go to gradient. Then we're going to go to, I've already made a custom gradient for it, but let me show you what that custom looks like. So it's light to dark. And the way I made that custom gradient is I went to custom and I made sure to hit linear. I made sure to hit 180 and light to dark. And this is actually the same gradient I used for my ice cream cone, so I can use it over again since I already used it for my ice cream cone. So this is the way the cake look is starting to look 3D now. I would say that the only issue maybe is that I want a little frosting in the middle, so I can go back to that same Polyline tool, and I'm going to click here, and it's very important that this line is parallel to that line. So this is not parallel. That's not parallel. Let me show you when it becomes parallel to the top line. That is right now parallel. Okay. So the word parallel is important. It means the same angle. Is this the same angle? No, it's not. Let me keep going until it's the same angle. That is parallel. It is the same angle. And I'm going to close the shape. And now this shape, I want it to have a transparent outline, and I want this right here to be this color, the same color as the frosting here, but I want it to be a gradient. So I'm going to go over to gradient, and I'm going to do custom, and the light color, I want it to be like this, and the dark color, I want it to be like this. And I want it to be linear and not 90, because look, it doesn't go from light to dark, it goes from light to dark. So I'm going to go 180. There it goes. And hit OK. Oh, look at that. Okay, let's zoom out. And our cake is looking like it has form. Okay, I'm going to move on to the square cake, which is the top is a diamond, because I feel like that's an easy way to jump from this one to this one. So again, I'm going to take my zoom and I'm going to zoom in just so I can see what I am doing. And by now, maybe some of you already know what tool I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for this Polyline tool. Okay, and it looks like this is in our way. Let's move this out of our way a little bit. Go back to our Polyline tool. And remember what we're going to do. I'm going to create two shapes, one on this side and one on this side. And the lines are going to have to be parallel. So I'm going to start on this corner. And I need to make a straight line. So I'm going to hold Shift to make a straight line. And then this bottom line has to be parallel to that line. So is this parallel? No, not parallel yet. Not parallel yet. It's parallel right about here. Now it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to try our best. And then I'm going to hold Shift and go right up to here. Close that up, and that's one shape. Remember, we want to make the border transparent. And now I want to make another shape, but I don't feel like drawing it again. Guess what we can do? We can copy and paste it over to the other side, except this time we're going to have to reverse it. So we're going to have to flip it over to that side and make sure that it fits. Doesn't quite fit yet. Okay, it looks like it fits. Looks like there's a few spaces in between, probably because I didn't make my lines totally straight, but it's okay. I'm just going to drop that down, and I'm just going to move this over, and hopefully it'll look okay. Now, we're not using a drawing program, we're just using Google Slides, so this is not going to be a perfect drawing. We're just trying to do the best that we can in this program. I need to move this over a little bit, maybe make this a little bigger. Okay, that's the best that we can do. Now, they're all the same color, so you can't see the differences. Did you guys remember what the top has to be? Because the light is coming from here, the top is going to be the lightest color. Maybe this cake is going to be green instead of blue, so I'm going to go to fill color and go for a light green because the top has to be light. Now, if the top is light, this right here also has light coming to it, but not as much as the top. The top has the most light, so it's also going to be a light green, except for a little bit darker. And this side that is far away is going to be even darker. I might even make it this dark. Maybe, let's see how it looks like if I go this dark. That might be a little too much, so let's just go for that one. All right, let's click out and see what it looks like. Again, it's not perfect. Some things aren't exactly in place, but it's okay. Let's zoom to fit. And now we have a 3D square cake, a 3D triangle slice, and a 3D ice cream cone. Now, let's make a round cake. I'm going to move this up a little bit, and we'll zoom into it. This is a little harder because in Google Slides, you can't actually draw curves, and we're going to have to draw a parallel line, two parallel lines, and a curve at the bottom. But they do have this shape. If you go to shapes, they do have this shape. If you go to the shapes, this one right here, and we're going to use this one. So I'm going to draw this shape, and of course it's not the right size, but we're going to put it down and we're going to twist it. We're going to twist it until it looks like that, and then we're going to try to fit it underneath of our oval. Now the top of a cake would look like a circle, but from an angle it looks like an oval. So the top here is an oval. Now that's what it looks like, but I don't know if you guys can tell that part of the oval is not showing. So I'm just going to take the oval and I'm going to arrange it, and I'm going to put it to the front. All right, now it's time to add color to this to make it look like it has form. If you remember, the top of our objects, the top of our cakes are going to be the lightest colors. I'm going to go with a light blue for the top of the cake. Now, this cake has to go from light to dark on this angle. If we made it the same exact color, we would not be able to tell the difference between the top and the side. So the side has to be a different color, and it has to be a gradient from light to dark. So we're going to go to gradient, and we already have this custom gradient that looks like it goes from light to dark, but when I choose it, it looks like it's going from light to dark from here to here. And that's because we rotated our shape. So we're just going to have to go to custom and instead change that angle 180 back to, let's see, let's try. Sometimes you have to try things out to know. So let's hit 225. That doesn't look right. Let's hit 270. Let's hit 315. I think that's going to be the right one. Let's check it. Yep, that ended up being the right one. It's going from light over here to dark. And so that looks three-dimensional on that cake. Let's zoom out. I think we have a few more objects that we can do. We're almost done. You can stop here if that's all you want to do, but we have this cupcake shape that we could make if you want to. If you guys want to know how to do this slice cake, that's kind of a cool one. You can keep watching. I'll try to do one of these slice cakes. So I'm going to take these shapes here, and I'm going to copy them, Control C, and then I'm going to paste them, Control V, and I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to make my slice cake right here. Okay, let's zoom into it, and we're going to make a slice out of this cake. It's going to be a little more complicated. Remember, this is not a drawing program, so we're just going to do our best to try to make this look like a slice of cake. So I'm going to go to my shapes, and I'm going to choose triangle. That's going to be the slice, and I'm going to make a triangle here, and I'm going to place it in the middle of the cake where I want the slice to go out of. And that's the slice that I'm taking out of the top of my cake. Remember, we don't want the line to be showing so transparent. And then we want the slice to go all the way down. So then I'm going to also choose another shape, which will be a rectangle. And I'm going to go like that to make it look like the slice is going all the way down in the cake. Now, it looks pretty good. It looks like there's a slice taken out of the cake, except for the fact that there's no value on the inside. So now we want to add some value on the inside to really make it look like there's a slice taken out of the cake. Just trying to make this as good as possible. It's not going to be perfect because, like I said, it's not a drawing program. So what I'm going to do to make this look like a slice is taken out is one side has to be light, one side has to be dark. So this side of the cake is light, this side is dark. So on the inside it'll be the opposite. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to pick a right triangle. If you don't know why I'm doing something, just follow my instructions and you'll figure it out. You'll see why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm going to take that shape there. Remember, the line transparent. And I'm going to take another rectangle. And I'm going to start here and go down. And these two are going to be a darker color of a cake. So remember this chocolate color of the cake, that's the one I'm going to use. It was this one. And then on this side, these ones are going to be a lighter color that's the same as that brown. So I can go here and go to custom. And I can make that brown, let's find that brown. I can make that brown be a lighter brown. On that side of the cake. We talked a lot about our lines being parallel, and now that we've cut this slice of cake out, this line here is not parallel to this line at the bottom. This line is flat and this line is a triangle. So to fix that, we're going to go to our shapes and we're going to choose triangle and we're going to use it to cover up the bottom part. Again, this is not a drawing program. This is Google Slides, so we're going to do our best to do what we can do. And we're going to create a triangle. The same one at the top, we're going to try to create it at the bottom. The best that we can do. We're not trying to be perfect. We're going to move it, make sure it's in the right spot, make sure it's going to look good, and it's going to be parallel to the triangle up top. I'm just going to move that over until it looks right. I'm going to make sure that the outer line is transparent, and I'm going to make it white so that it blends into the background. And now it looks more like there is a slice taken out of the cake. See that? All right, now I want to add in some of these frosting lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Polyline, and I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go start here and make sure it's parallel to the top. This is not parallel, that's not parallel, this is about parallel. And I'm going to make a little frosting line, make sure that this bottom part is parallel too. Here we go. That's about parallel. And the frosting, remember, is blue. So no outline, and the frosting is blue. And this is our light side, so I'm going to go with a light blue. And then I can copy and paste it and make a second frosting line right there maybe. So now it looks like we have 3 layers of cake with 2 layers of frosting. Those are actually some thick frostings. You don't have to make that thick if you don't want to. I'm going to hit Shift and choose both of these, and I'm going to copy and paste them. I'm going to flip them around like I did with that square cake, and I'm going to try to make them fit. Okay, that looks like it fits. Let me just move this over a tiny bit more. And of course, this is our dark side, so the frosting also has to be a darker blue. Why don't we go with that? Is that too dark? Let's see if we go with this one, if it's better. That one's better. Okay, and now we finished our cake with a slice taken out of it. Of course, like I keep saying over and over, it's not going to be perfect. This is not a drawing program, but we're just going to try our best. That is the last one that I'm going to show you. This right here, you could use it as a cupcake or you can make up your own, but I'm really just going to let you guys do what you want to do. I want to see you guys' creativity, so I'm kind of leaving that one empty without showing you what I'm doing on it. And these are how I took shapes, which an oval, triangle, oval, circle, circle, triangle, diamond, and I turned them into forms. So this was my example that I showed you before, and then I did it again in another color just to show you options. I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. I know this is a little time consuming, but it's going to be a lot of fun once you figure it out. Make sure to watch this video, and I'm really excited to see what you guys have.